Okay, the source of our learning should be a protection. Going to see an Refuah Shlema for everyone that needs. Today we're going to start Kuf Tes 109A. 10 lines from the top. Tanu Rabbanu. Tanu Rabbanu was taught in the Brisa. Chayav Adam l'sameach l'smayach banav b'nei beis b'regel. Person has to gladden his children in his household. On the holiday, you should rejoice on your holiday. How do you make them happy? Yeah, it's not with video games. So, biyayin, it's with wine. We give them wine. What did we say before? Rabbi Yehuda said, Mateil, yesh latinekos biyayin. But that's what it says. That would be the standard. You give them wine. I saw one of the commentaries said that the men are so concerned about the expenses of the holiday. They had to borrow money. They come into the holiday. They're still worried about how they're going to pay it back. So they should drink some wine so they'll forget about all of those, all of the credit card debts. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Anashim B'Royelehem. It's not across the board that everything is wine. That's not how it works. For men, it's things that are good for men. But Nashim B'Royelehem, and for women, it's things that the women want. Anashim B'Royelehem, what is good for the man, fitting for them? It's B'Yayin, that's wine. B'Nashim B'Mai, what do the women want? Rabbi Yosef says, B'Bavel, B'Big Dei Tzavainim. They want colored, decorated clothing. In Beretz Yisrael, B'Big Dei Pishtan Meguhatzim. It means washed or pressed. Linen clothing. I guess that was the style over in Eretz Yisrael. That was the style in Bavel. And that's what the people wanted. And the style is, I guess, because that's what people like. Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir Aimer, taught in the Brisa, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir says, when the Beis Hamikdash was around, Ein Simcha B'Basar, then we knew what Simcha was. It was meat. Shnemar v'zavachta shlamim v'achalta sham v'samachta l'fnei Hashem Elokecha. You slaughtered a sacrifice, a peace offering, you'll eat and you'll rejoice. So it's the shlamim. Achshav shein Beis Hamikdash kayim in simcha l'biyayin. Now that there's no Beis Hamikdash, now it's wine. Shnemar v'yayin yisamach l'vavenesh. The wine gladdens the heart of men. So just to be fair, I read in Sefer that I know that you can be yaitze Kiddush with grape juice. But what about Simcha? Can you be yaitze Simcha with grape juice? So apparently it's machlekes. But I read in the Sefer is proving that you can be yaitze with grape juice. You can be yaitze Simcha with grape juice. He even wants to say, I forgot the name of the Sefer. It'll come to me. He even wants to say that you should really make Kiddush on grape juice, because Kiddush is commemorating Adam Rishon. Adam Rishon made Kiddush. He squeezed grapes or something. He made Kiddush that night, Friday night. Now, was it wine? No, it was grape juice. Okay. It's called not Yama Chachma. The Sefer is Nishmasin Chadatin. That's the name of the Sefer. Rabbi Yitzchak Meir Morgenstern. It's Makubal in Yerushalayim. He's from England originally. He writes very beautiful svarim. A little Kabbalistic, but okay. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says, Kista de Maraisa David B'tzipari Havikim Luga de Mikdasha Uba Mishar Revi'ah Shel Pesach. Okay, here's where our difficulty starts. We need to get a revi'us. Now, how do we get a standard revi'us that everyone should have the same revi'us? So we don't really have anything natural that we can measure it against. So we said like this, that in Tzipori, there was a vessel that was used to measure brine. And that was an original lug, that was the measurement of a lug that they used in the Beis Hamikdash. So when it comes to Pesach and you need a revius of wine, so you would measure it off that. I assume they kept the Pesach thing. It wasn't a big deal. It was all cold. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, "Temnaisa kad ma'isa David b'Tiveria have yisera al dar river v'mashan v'yishal Pesach." He says there was a type of measurement that was called the Temnaisa. Temnaisa means an eighth. I don't know what it's an eighth of, but it's an eighth of something. That doesn't do anything for me. What it does is that they made a new eighth, which was one revius less than that. So all you needed to do was to fill up the old eighth, pour all the water into the new eighth, and what's remaining is a revius. So that was another way of getting a revius. Amar Rav Chizda says, I have a new way of getting it to you. Revius shel teir etzba'ayim al etzba'ayim, berum etzba'ayim, b'chatzi etzba, b'chemes etzba. Okay, b'chemes etzba. Here's where a complication, it's coming in. Get ready. He says that how do we get a revius? You measure it by 2 fingers, squared, 2 fingers by 2 fingers. Now, I don't measure the length of the finger. I measure the width of the finger by the width of the finger, right? The width of the 2 fingers. Actually, I'm not sure if it's 2 thumbs. I think sometimes it says an etzba is a that would call a gudel. I'm not sure. 2 fingers by 2 fingers. Now the height, here's where it gets a little tricky. You know, they don't have decimals in the Talmudic times or even after that. So what they do is they tell you like this. The height is 2 fingers by plus a half a finger plus a fifth. So it's 2 plus a half plus a fifth, which is 0.7, right? The fifth would be 2, right? So it's 0.7, 2.7. So it's 2 times 2 times 2.7. And just to jump ahead a little bit, that's going to be 10.8. All right, and we'll figure that out in a minute.
That's 10.8.
Right. So 2 times 2 would be the area, and then the height would be 2.7. You got it? So, Kidditanya, as it was taught in the Brisa. Barachatz b'mayim is kol b'sarai. You have to wash your flesh in water. That means to go to the mikveh. Shlei davar chaytzit bin b'sar l'mayim. You can't have anything that's in between, a separation, an interruption between your skin and the water, and the mikveh water. What is that? That's machatzitza. Learn this from the psukim. To be squeaky clean. B'mayim has to be in the water. B'mei mikveh, the water of the mikveh. That's kol b'sarai, all is flesh. That means mayim shekol gufay elabem. It's water that the whole body can fit in. So we're looking at the size of the mikveh. 108, 109. We're looking at the size of the mikveh. The size of the mikveh has to be able to fit a human body in one go. It's not like Hagala, when we kasher for Pesach, you don't have to put the whole thing in one go. You put half in, you turn it over, you put the other half in. Mikveh has to be the whole thing immersed at one moment. The Kamahin, how much is that? So it's Amma al Amma Barum Shalish Amis. It's an Amma by an Amma. That means, the Gemara says this in other places also in Masech Sukkah, that a person is an Amma. And then, I guess, measuring his stomach or feet, it's an Amma wide. So he's an Amma by an Amma. And how tall is he? So it says he's 3 Ammas. Now it's probably more than, 3 Ammas is, let's say, in between 4 and 6 feet, right? So something like that. And also he crouches down because he can dip down and bend the knees a little bit. So you can fit. So we got 40 saw out of the space, out of the area. Not, It wasn't 40 sa, and then we measured, how much is that in area? We did it the other way. We wanted a person to be able to fit into a mikveh. So we said that it's an amma, a cubit by 3 cubits. And then we measured how much that would be, how much water would fit it, what's the volume. We said that was 40 sa. Okay, bear with me for a minute while we go through some calculations here to figure out. You see, what we're doing here is we know how much water is in a mikveh, and we know the area of a mikveh. Now what we want to do is we know how much liquid is in a revius. The revius. Question is, what's the area of a revius? So we have to measure this out. Huh? Why are we concerned? Because we don't have anything natural to compare it to. So you go home and you say, I need a revius. How do you measure a revius? If you'd say it's an olive size, they say, okay, I have an olive at home, I'll check. I know, but let's like the guy that went to the shoe store, like walking like this, So we have to figure out based on something natural. So a natural would be, it wasn't 100%, but it was close enough. It was an average person's width of his fingers. Okay, that's how measurements work. So bear with me and let's try to do this. I worked it out 3 different ways. The easiest is the following. A revius is a quarter. Okay, that's what it means. It means a quarter. So what is it a quarter of? It's a quarter of a lug. Now, what I want to get is how many revius there are in a mikveh. When I can figure out how many revius there are in a mikveh, then I can figure out how many fingers breadths there are in the area of a mikveh. And then when I get it down, I'll be able to see that ratio of revius to fingers. That's basically what I need to do. So I have a quarter of a lug. So how many lug are there? So there's 4 lug in a kav, and there's 6 kav in a sa, and then there's 40 sa. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing 4 revius times 4 lug times 6 kav times 40. The answer is 3,840. I worked it out. So what is 3,840? 3,840, 3,840 is how many revius, how many kiddush cups there are in a mikveh. You measure a mikveh, that's how many kiddush cups there are. Yeah, the kids go to the bathtub, they're drinking the water in there. That's 3,840 kiddushes in the mikveh. Okay, so now we have to get to how many fingers there are in 3 amas tall by an amma by an amma. Amma by amma by 3 amas. So every tefach has 4 fingers. Okay. How many tefachim are in an amma? 6. According to, usually it's 6. So it's 4 times 6 is 24. Okay, so I know there's 24 fingers in an amma. Now I have an amma square, so it's 24 times 24. That is 576. Now what I need to do, that's just the area. Now I need to get the height. I need to get the height, 576 times 3 amas. But I don't want the amas, I want it spice. So 24 times 3, right? 24 fingers in an amma times 3. I need 3 amas, so it's 72. So it's 576 times 72 is 41,472. So now I know how many fingers there are in a mikveh. What I need to do now is divide 41,472 by how many revius there are, which is 3,840, 3,840. My answer was 10.8. If you remember, 10.8 was 2 times 2 times 2.7, which is 2 fingers by 2 fingers by 2 fingers plus a half and the fifth, which is 0.7, right? 2 times 2 times 2.7 is going to come out to 10.8. So 10.8 at spice is going to be also, is going to be 1 revius. All right. Now there's Rashi and Rashbam do not do it like this, but this seems to be the easiest way, at least for the way we think. They have different ways of doing the math. Okay.
When does the hard part start?
Oh, okay. If you look at the picture on Taisvis, I know sometimes people look at that picture and they're like, what is going on over there? That's an ancient way of figuring out pi. What you do is you cut the circle down the center, the radius. You cut it down and then you spread it out. And then you measure each line that there's doing. You see what he's doing? But you don't have to do that. You cut it in half, halfway in half the circle. You spread it out. Then you cut it in half all the way, and then you put the 2 rectangles side by side, and then you have a rectangle or a square. And that's how you figure out the area of the circle. Okay. Now, Amar Ravashi. Ravashi says, Amali Ravin Bar Chinana. Ravin Bar Chinana told me, Shulchan Shal Mikdash Shal Prakim Havel. We're learning about this in the Chumash. The table in the Beis Hamikdash for the bread, it says that it was pure. Now, pure, the Gemara tells us, means that it could have been kame, could have been impure. That means that it would have to be able to be immersed in the mikveh. Now, the Gemara here says that it has to be that it was able to be taken apart. It wasn't one piece. Because if you're going to tell me that it was connected and it wasn't able to be taken apart, how could you put immersed in amma? It was an amma. How can you immerse an amma in an amma? It needs to be a little bit bigger than that. And if a mikveh is only 1 amma, so how could they immerse it? The Gemara says, "My kasha, dilma b'yam shel shleima v'matvalei." They had mikvahs that were bigger than an amma. They had the yam shel shleima. Yam shel shleima was the sea, a well that, not a well, it was like a big basin that Shlomo Melech built in the Beis Hamikdash. If you ever look at the pictures, there's like oxen underneath it. That's being carried. It's carried on the backs of oxen. So, and that was larger. I think that was 10 amas. Right? That's what we learned. Yeah, that's what we learned. Pi is because the pasuk tells us that it was 10 amas by 30, 10 amas in diameter and 30 amas in circumference. So the Tanya Rabchi Yam Shas Shleima Machzik Meya B'Chamishim Mikveh Torah, that was large enough to hold 150 mikvahs. Now we can figure it out. Anyway, okay. Now the Gemara says, it says that if a person doesn't have money, he's, the congregation is obligated to supply him with 4 cups for the Seder, 4 cups of wine. Usually they would give him food for the day. Here they have to give him wine as well. So the Gemara asks, okay. There was a superstition that if you did anything in pairs, it was dangerous. You weren't supposed to do 2. It would be comparable, I guess, today to not to step on the cracks when you're walking and the kids on the sidewalk. So they had this thing about not having anything in pairs. Pairs was dangerous. So the Gemara asks, how could the rabbis institute something that was dangerous? In those days, that was considered dangerous. Anything with pairs was dangerous. I don't know the source. The Gemara says that if you're not concerned about it, so then it doesn't bother you. So that's what's giving me the liberty to talk about it like this. Yeah, it's only if you're worried about it, then it's so. V'hatanya, but it was taught in the Brisa, layochel adam trei v'liyishte trei v'liyikaneach trei v'liyasetzach trei. Person shouldn't eat two things. I guess 2 servings. Shouldn't drink 2 cups. He shouldn't clean himself twice. And he shouldn't have relations twice. And now we're saying that if you have 4 cups of wine, basically that's 2 pears. You had pears twice. I said pears. It's even numbers. That's the issue. Any even number is going to be a multiple of 2. So that's going to be a problem. So Rav Nachman says, don't worry about it. This night is guarded. This night is guarded from danger, from demons. Actually, the detail here is that the even numbers would somehow give access to demons to cause harm. So there's actually several halachas that come from this, that when we say it's Leil HaMeshumar, one of them is that we don't repeat. If the first night of Pesach is Shabbos, we don't say that prayer afterwards, which is Magin Avis Bidvarei, which is a repetition. It's called a Me'en Sheva, a quasi Shemon Esrei. It's a repetition that maybe someone that came late to shul is going to be delayed. Someone that came late is going to end up walking home late alone. And we don't want him to do that, so we extend the davening a little bit, so to give him time to catch up, to be able to walk back with everyone. That's the reason for the Man Sheva. That's the reason why we do that by Myra. We do it Friday night. Now, we don't do it on Pesach, even if Pesach is Friday night. And the reason is because that night is protected. We don't have to worry about what's going to happen. Another custom is that we don't lock the door on Pesach night. Rabba Amar Keshel Bracha Mitzdaref L'Tayv Ve'ena Mitzdaref L'Ra. Rabba says something interesting. It says Keshel Bracha. One of the cups of the Seder is benching, the 3rd cup. So the 3rd cup only combines to help, but it doesn't combine for evil. So really, how many cups do we have now? If you can't count the 3rd cup for anything negative, so we have 3 cups. 3 cups is not a problem. Ravina says, Arba Kasi Tikni Rabbanan Derech. The sages instituted 4 cups in a way of freedom. And each one is its own mitzvah. So you're telling me that there's 4 cups. There aren't really 4 cups. There's really 1 cup and another cup and another cup and another cup, but it's not 4 cups. Yeah, it's like they asked this lady, so how many children do you have? So she says, I have 1 Maishala and 1 Shlomi, and I have 1. That's what's happening here. Not that there's 4 cups. There's 1 Kiddush, and then there's 1 on the Haggadah, and there's 1 on benching. Okay. Layasa Chochav Trey says that he shouldn't have relations twice. Amai Nimlachu. He had relations once. Then he decided he's going to have relations again. It's not like it's twice. He decided to have again. It wasn't like when you serve 2 cups, you bring out 2 cups. That's the problem. You don't bring out 2 portions. Here's 2 cups of tea. Drink them quickly before they get cold. So it's that would be a problem. But relations, he had relations once. He decides he wants to have again. So Amar Abaya says that's not the pshat. It's not what it meant. The problem is that if you violated the rule when it came to the meal, you ate in even number and you drank in an even number. So then afterwards, don't have relations, because that could weaken a person, and he's already weak. Because of the pair that he had, the even number. Okay. Let's leave it right here. It's early.